Let's have a listen to what Jagmeet Singh is saying here. Now, of course, Peter Julian, the NDP House leader, admitted that there could be a spring election as soon as March comes around, meaning as soon as Jagmeet gets his pension.
In February and March, does all options on the table mean the NDP will vote no, vote non-confidence in the government in those 2 months on that timeline?
If we're talking the end of February and the beginning of March, and Mr. Trudeau has not stepped down, hasn't heeded that call from his own caucus, from his own cabinet, from all the opposition parties, then yes. So of course that would mean if we're coming up to a straight up non-confidence motion the end of February, early March, that's one of the tools that we have. And okay. So there's no doubt about that.
Then he's free. Then he's free to vote in a non-confidence motion against Trudeau. Not until then, though. But things will be okay by March. They actually admitted this. I played this clip the other day. I'm not going to show it again. It's enough to make you retch. But here is a so-called leader of an opposition party that's not really an opposition party. This is the Jagmeet Singh party. Let's collect my pension and get out of here. It's incredible. This guy is going to absolutely submerge his party in the next election. I don't even think this joker can win his seat again. He is such a clown. And to listen to him when he tries to pretend he doesn't know what we're talking about, that this isn't about my pension. No, it's about keeping all options on the table. And now he's saying he wants a trade war, just like Justin Trudeau wants a trade war. Let's have a listen to this.
Explain to Canadians that while you say you want him out, that he's not good for Canada, but you won't act on that and commit to a vote of non-confidence.
Well, everything's on the table, we've said, but it's been clear, given that we've got the threats of tariffs from Trump, that puts a lot of workers in Canada saying, will I lose my job? We know that people are having a really hard time buying groceries, just the basic essentials.
Sure.
And we got people that are saying, I can't find a home, my bills are up. Given all of that, we've got a prime minister that's more focused on fighting his own party than...
You know, this guy hasn't bought his own groceries in a long time. He always goes back to that talking point. There's people out there who can't afford to buy their own groceries.
Fighting for Canadians. It's clear that he's got to go.
Right. But you're the one who can make that happen. So why?
Now, this journalist here asks him 4 times during his interview, you're the one who can do it. Why aren't you doing it? And Jagmeet, of course, the coward he is, can't even answer that question.
Why not commit to a vote that would see an election in this country?
Well, I've said that everything's on the table. So all options are on the table. What I'm focused on right now is saying he's got to go. And we'll see what happens in the next couple of weeks.
You know, you're talking about Canadians being concerned about affordability, but the most recent polls show that most of them want an election. So if you have the power to make that happen for Canadians, and you're acting in the best interest of Canadians, isn't that what they actually want?
Well, there's going to be an election this year, 2025.
Sure,
next
but
year.
October is the scheduled date. That's a long way off.
It could happen any time in 2025. We're in a minority government, so we'll keep all options open.
Look at this idiot. Keeps saying it could happen in 2025. We'll keep all options open. Yeah, and he keeps saying there's going to be an election in 2025. I can guarantee you that. Well, yes, thank you very much, clown. But this guy can't be honest for a moment.
But let's be clear, there's going to be an election in 2025. Absolutely guaranteed there will be an election. And people will have a tough choice to make. And I just wanted to say to folks out there who are worried about Pierre Poilievre, the Conservatives, worried about the cuts, worried that he's going to cut their child care, their pensions, health care, make things way more expensive. For those folks,
nobody's worried about that. They're worried about a clown like you holding up the dissolution of this ungodly parliament that needs to go. This Trudeau needs to go. You keep saying, oh, he needs to go, but I'm not going to do anything about it. Don't ask me to exercise any political responsibility.
Folks, I want to invite you. We have shown that when we come together, when we organize, when we fight, we can win. So I want to invite people to join us, the NDP.
You know, you've talked about the Conservatives and what they can do, but they are 20 points ahead. You and the Liberals are sitting further back from that. So wouldn't it say to me that what Canadians want is a chance to elect a new government? And you can make that happen. Listen, Peter Julian told CBC News that this could happen in the spring. But why wait? What are you waiting for?
Well, I'm not going to speculate on when it's going to happen. What I am committing to is that in this election, I want folks to know they have a real choice. Even though I know it's a big mountain to climb.
An election before they can make a choice.
There will be an election. There's going to be an election in 2025. But what people have to know is that if things are bad now, things will be even worse under Pierre Poilievre. And I want to make sure people know the cost. And I don't think people know the cost. Like, he's going to cut childcare. That could be $8,000 more a year for families. He wants to cut the child benefit. That's $600 a month that he wants to cut. He wants to cut pensions like Harper did. Pensions for seniors who are already struggling, who already tell me they can't afford their groceries.
He can't miss doing his political advert here in the middle of an interview. And it's just pathetic. This is a moral coward, political coward who can't even put together a sentence that makes sense apart from his talking points, which he repeats ad nauseum. I really have no time at all for this man as anything. I will be so happy to see him gone in the next parliament because he just is a waste of space. He's just taking up space and is absolutely committed to nothing but himself.
How are they going to make it by if their pensions are cut? When people are confronted with this, say, you know what? I don't want to vote for a guy who's going to cut my pensions. I'd actually think about that. I don't want to vote for a guy who's going to cut health care at a time when I can barely get the care I need right now.
But why won't you commit to voting non-confidence?
There's going to be an election this year.
I know there's going to be an election. Canadians know it's coming in October. It could be sooner in the spring, but you're the one who can make that happen. So why not commit to making it happen?
It's going to happen. There's nothing to, we don't have to commit to anything. It's going to happen.
Why not make it happen?
What a fool. This is just parading his lack of intelligence on the screen. I have never seen anybody so inept at answering questions. We all know that. You half-wit. Yes, there's going to be an election in 2025. You will apparently have nothing to do with it, at least until you get your pension.
Sooner. So they come back on the 27th, a week after Trump is in office. The tariffs could be in place by January 21st. Don't Canadians deserve the right to choose a different government sooner rather than later?
Well, I'm going to look at what's in the best interest of Canadians. If there's a vote on the table about retaliatory tariffs to fight back against Trump versus...
Here it is. Everybody hear that? This is really the news of this. Maybe I should have played this first. But this is what Jagmeet Singh wants, a trade war. He just said that. He wants a trade war with Donald Trump. And there he is again, in Justin Trudeau's pocket. What have I been saying all week about Justin Trudeau? Using Doug Ford as his useful idiot.
We need to be ready. We need to be ready to fight. This fight is coming 100% on January the 20th or January 21st. We don't know what extent this fight's going to go to. We will go to the extent of cutting off their energy.
Trying to foment a trade war with Donald Trump, trying to keep the friction going because that's the only solution for Justin Trudeau. That's the only way he thinks he can stay in power. That's the only way he thinks he can retain the levers if he starts a trade war with Donald Trump and makes it into a nationalistic issue. We have to protect ourselves from Donald Trump. Jagmeet Singh is still in Justin Trudeau's pocket. No question about it. He's always been in Justin Trudeau's pocket, even though he likes to go do little videos where he's ripping up agreements. The man is a complete fake. He is a complete and total fraudster. So don't, and I know the viewers here are intelligent enough to know you can't trust this man to speak a microcosm of truth. But here he goes.
Calling an election in the midst of threats to hundreds of thousands of jobs. I want to make a decision that's in the best interest of Canadians. I'm not going to speculate on what...
His decision is not in the best interest of Canadians. It's in the best interest of Jagmeet Singh. Why is this guy so incompetent? He needs a government pension. He's already independently wealthy. His family's wealthy. He's made a lot of money as a lawyer, but he needs that pension so much. He's prepared to keep the Liberal government on life support to do so, to get it.
That decision is now. But I can tell you what I am saying right now. Trump is a real threat. People are worried about their jobs. Trudeau has to go.
Yeah.
I'm not going to speculate about what's going to happen months from now. When that happens, I'll make a decision.
But it's not speculation because you're the one who can tip the power in a non-confidence
Well, speculation
vote.
about what's in the best interest of Canadians. 2 months from now.
They're saying an election is in our best
interest. But we don't
interest.
know what's going to happen a month from now. We don't know what we're confronted with. What I can say right now is there's going to be an election in 2025. That is guaranteed. And in that election, I'm fighting and running to become Prime Minister.
Yeah. Incredible. You can't make this up, people. You can't make it up. Any political leader could be this much of a coward.
But what does he need? He needs somebody to be the enemy. And it's not working with Pierre Poilievre. He's at least 20 to 25 points behind Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives. The Liberal Party is in third place in some polls. So he's not working when he sets up Pierre Poilievre. But he thinks it can work if he sets up Donald Trump. And he, as I've said over the last week, if he co-opts the premiers, if he co-opts the leader of the official opposition, Pierre Poilievre, and they all join his team Trudeau, not Team Canada, it's Team Trudeau, then he's got a hope in hell of convincing Canadians that it's Justin Trudeau against Donald Trump, Canada against the United States. So, yes, clearly, Justin Trudeau wants a trade war with the United States. He deliberately went out of his way to make the outrageous and absurd comments the other day about Americans being misogynistic for not electing Kamala Harris.
Now, it shouldn't be that way. It wasn't supposed to be that way. We were supposed to be on a steady, if difficult sometimes, march towards progress. And yet, just a few weeks ago, the United States voted for a second time to not elect its first woman president. Everywhere, women's rights and women's progress is under attack, overtly and subtly. But I want you to know that I am, and always will be, a proud feminist. You will always have an ally in me and in my government.
In voting for Donald Trump, he had deliberately tried to be a pain in the ass by saying that. He wanted to antagonize Donald Trump. He wants a trade war. He wants Canada to get antagonistic towards the Americans because he thinks that's the only way he can win. Now, that's my analysis of it. And every time Trudeau needs a premier, a willing idiot, it's always Doug Ford, the faux conservative, the phony conservative, Doug Ford. During the pandemic, Mr. Lockdown King. Yeah, Jason Kenney was just as bad in Alberta, but in Ontario, it was Doug Ford, the Lockdown King. Push harder. Social distancing. Keep your mask on. Don't go to church. Don't get a haircut. Doug Ford was the Lockdown King. During the Freedom Convoy, who was on side with Justin Trudeau 100% with invoking the Emergencies Act? Doug Ford. Doug Ford again. Who just stood by while the mayor of Emo Township had his paycheck garnished, had his bank account garnished by Human Rights Tribunal? Who stood by and watched that? Doug Ford, the phony conservative. So Doug Ford is out there pushing Trudeau's agenda. He wants a trade war because Justin Trudeau told him so. I have no time or respect for Doug Ford. Now, what is the issue here? Well, I'm going to show you a couple clips. It's quite simple. There doesn't need to be a trade war. We don't need to be hit with 25% tariffs on all Canadian products. We don't need to have any kind of war of words or otherwise with Donald Trump. He just wants us to fix the border.
Yeah, I had the chance to meet with Mr. Trump last weekend in Paris, and he told me very clearly that we can avoid those tariffs if we do what needs to be done with the borders. He doesn't want to see any more illegal immigrants coming from Canada to U.S. So I think the best choice right now for Mr. Trudeau is to table a plan with money, with a number of people to better secure the border.
Justin Trudeau is not serious about it.
But the announcement had no details or timelines.
I can't just buy a helicopter tomorrow, but there are processes where you can rent the helicopter, and we're exploring every facet that we can.
The cost, $1.3 billion, a part of trying to placate the incoming president, who's railed against what he's called the invasion of fentanyl and illegal immigrants from Canada, threatening a 25% tariff on all Canadian goods going to the States.
I think these are the kinds of things that could potentially make a political difference. Whether or not they make a material difference is a really open question.
A material difference hard to make on a nearly 9,000 kilometer border with no new RCMP or CBSA officers announced.
And what we don't have is people who can actually respond when one of these sensors goes off, because the closest Mountie post will be like 45 minutes away.
Ho, 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 ho!
How do you like this?